Look at your hand, right now. Hold it up and really look at it. It appears solid, doesn't it? It feels tangible, warm, and real. You can knock on your desk and you hear a sound. You can stomp on the ground and you feel the impact. Your senses tell you that you are living in a dense, solid world of matter. But what if I told you that your senses are lying to you? What if I told you that the solidity you feel is nothing more than a stubborn illusion, a trick of frequency that has kept humanity trapped in a limited understanding of reality for thousands of years? Science has already proven this, yet we refuse to integrate it into our daily lives. Physicists tell us that an atom, the building block of everything you see, touch, and are, is 99.9999999% empty space. To give you a sense of scale, imagine if the nucleus of an atom were the size of a peanut placed in the center of a baseball stadium. The electrons orbiting it would be like tiny gnats buzzing around the highest seats in the stands. Everything in between, that vast, massive stadium, is empty. Now consider this. If we were to remove all that empty space from every single human being currently living on Earth, all 8 billion of us, and compress just the actual physical matter together, the entire human race would fit inside the volume of a single sugar cube. Think about that. All our cities, our wars, our histories, our bodies compressed into a sugar cube. The rest is just empty space. But here is the secret that Itzhak Bentov died trying to reveal to the world. That space is not empty. It is not a void of nothingness. It is a plenum, a fullness. It is a seething, boiling ocean of infinite energy and intelligence. It is the 0 point field, and you are not merely floating in it. You are made of it. You are a ripple in this infinite ocean, tricked into believing you are a separate drop. Today, we are going to dissolve that illusion. We are going to decode Bentov's final equation and show you how to access the power hiding in the silence. Before we unlock the first seal, if you are one of the few seeking the truth beyond the noise, please click subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Join the journey to wake up from the simulation. To understand the 0 point, we must first dismantle the reality you think you know. Itzhak Bentov, in his groundbreaking work Stalking the Wild Pendulum, proposed that our reality operates much like a hologram, or more precisely, like a motion picture projected onto a screen. When you watch a movie, you see a continuous flow of action. You see characters moving, speaking, and living, but you know that this continuity is an illusion. The movie is actually a collection of still frames projected one after another in rapid succession, usually 24 frames per second. Between every frame of light, there is a tiny moment of darkness as the shutter closes to move to the next frame. But your eyes are too slow to see the darkness. Your brain bridges the gap, stitching the still images together to create the illusion of motion. You are seeing the light, but you are blind to the darkness that makes the light possible. Bentov suggested that our physical reality operates on the exact same principle. We are blinking in and out of existence at a rate far too fast for our conscious minds to perceive. Matter is not solid. It is a standing wave. It is energy vibrating at a specific frequency. When the vibration is on, we appear as solid matter. When the vibration is off, we dissolve back into the field of potential, the 0 point. We are like a strobe light pulsing in a dark room. We are only here for half the time. For the other half, we are purely non-physical. We are pure consciousness expanding into the void. But because our biological senses are tuned only to the on phase, to the material plane, we completely miss the off phase. We miss the half of our existence where we are infinite. We are trapped in the movie, forgetting that we are also the light and the screen. So where do we go when we blink out? Where does the universe go when the frame changes? To explain this, Bentov used the brilliant metaphor of a simple pendulum. Picture a grandfather clock with a pendulum swinging back and forth. Tick, tock. As the pendulum moves, it has velocity, it has momentum, it is traveling through space and time. This represents our active life in the physical world, our doing, our thinking, our moving. But observe the pendulum closely. At the very end of its swing, just before it reverses direction to go back the other way, something miraculous happens. For an infinitesimal fraction of a second, the pendulum must come to a complete stop. Its velocity drops to 0. In that micro moment of absolute stillness, where is the momentum? Where is the energy? Physics tells us energy cannot be destroyed. Bentov proposed that at this 0 point of velocity, the energy doesn't disappear, it changes direction. It shifts vertically. It tunnels out of the 3D physical dimension and expands into infinite dimensions of consciousness. The stop is not a pause in existence, it is a gateway. It is a momentary exit from the prison of time and space. Think of it like the shutter speed of a high-speed camera. Most of us live our lives with a slow shutter. We are blurry, capturing only the motion, blurring the details, never catching the gap between the moments. We're so obsessed with the swing of the pendulum that we miss the miracle of the turnaround. But what if you could adjust your internal camera? What if you could speed up your perception to catch that moment of stillness? At that precise point of the stop, the boundaries of the physical universe collapse. The observer is no longer bound by location. In that 0 point, you are everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. This is the secret mechanism of intuition, of psychic ability, and of deep spiritual epiphany. It is not magic, it is physics. You are accessing the database of the universe every time your consciousness hits that 0 point. The problem is, you are doing it unconsciously, thousands of times a second, and immediately forgetting it as you swing back into the illusion of matter. Modern science calls it the 0 point field. Ancient traditions called it the Akasha, the Tao, or simply the Absolute. But Itzhak Bentov preferred a more descriptive term, the plenum. The word vacuum implies emptiness, a lack of something. Plenum implies fullness, a space so densely packed with energy and information that it appears empty only because it is uniform. Imagine a fish swimming deep in the ocean. Does the fish know it is in water? No. To the fish, the water is just empty space because it is everywhere, constant and unchanging. The fish only notices the water when there is a disturbance, a current, a bubble, a change of temperature. We are exactly like that fish. We are swimming in a sea of infinite energy, but because it permeates every cell of our body and every atom of our world equally, our senses cancel it out. We are blind to the background. Physicists have calculated the energy potential of this field. The results are staggering. It is estimated that the amount of energy contained in a single cubic centimeter of empty space, the size of a sugar cube, is greater than the total energy of all the matter in the known universe combined. Let that sink in. You are holding the power of 1 trillion stars in the palm of your hand, yet you have been conditioned to see only empty air. This field is not just energy, it is information. It is the hard drive of the cosmos. Every thought, every event, every possibility that ever was or ever will be is stored here as a frequency pattern. When your consciousness hits that stop point of the pendulum, you are not just floating in nothingness. You are plugging directly into this infinite database. This is where genius comes from. This is where Mozart heard his symphonies before he wrote them down. They didn't come from his brain, they came through his brain, downloaded from the plenum during a moment of stillness. As we go deeper into this forbidden mechanics of reality, take a moment to anchor yourself. If you are finding value in this decoding, and if you want to ensure this knowledge reaches more seekers, please like this video. It signals to the algorithm that the collective consciousness is waking up. Now, let's understand why this connection has been severed. If this field of infinite intelligence is all around us, why do we feel so limited? Why do we feel small, separate, and powerless? The answer lies in the noise. Remember the pendulum. To access the 0 point, the pendulum must reach a state of zero velocity, a moment of absolute rest. But look at your life. Look at the modern world. It is designed quite intentionally to keep your internal pendulum swinging specifically in the active range. You are bombarded with information, fear, dopamine hits, and endless distractions. This is not accidental. This is a frequency fence. The matrix, or the social engineering systems we live under, operates by keeping your brainwaves in the beta state, high frequency, chaotic, reactive. In this state, your consciousness is moving too fast. You are rushing past the gaps between the moments. You are like a camera shutter that is stuck open, receiving too much light, washing out the image. You never get the moment of darkness required to reset. You never hit the stop. Bentov explained that our nervous system acts as a frequency filter. Its job is to block out 99% of reality so that we can focus on survival in the physical world. But if you were fully connected to the 0 point all the time, you wouldn't be able to drive a car or pay your taxes. But the system has malfunctioned. The filter has become a wall. We have become so identified with the physical world, the swing of the pendulum, that we have forgotten the pivot point exists. We are asleep, not because we are unconscious, but because our consciousness is trapped in the horizontal plane of doing, never accessing the vertical plane of being. This disconnection has a devastating cost. It robs you of your ability to create your own reality. You see, creation does not happen in the noisy world of matter. You cannot change matter with matter effectively. That is the hard way. True creation happens in the 0 point. When you drop a pebble into a still pond, ripples expand outward, changing the surface of the water. The 0 point is that still pond. Your focused intent, your thought, is the pebble. When you enter a deep meditative state, or even a moment of pure focused intent, you are slowing your internal pendulum. You are approaching the 0 point. Any thought you plant in that state is a seed dropped directly into the plenum. It creates a standing wave pattern. Because the plenum contains infinite energy, it amplifies that pattern, organizing the energy of the vacuum into physical form. This is the physics behind manifestation. It is not magic, it is the manipulation of the hologram at the source code level. But here is the trap. Most people try to manifest from a state of lack, fear, or high beta noise. They are throwing pebbles into a raging storm. The water is too chaotic to hold the ripple. To use the mechanism of creation, you must first master the art of stopping. You must learn to silence the noise so that the signal of your intent can imprint upon the vacuum. The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are at the deepest level of resonance. And to find that resonance, you must go where the noise isn't. So how do we stop the pendulum? How do we access this infinite intelligence intentionally? Itzhak Bentov did not just leave us with philosophy, he gave us a physiological map. He discovered that the gateway to the 0 point is hidden in the rhythm of your own body, specifically in the resonant frequency between your heart and your brain. When you sit in deep meditation, something physical happens. Your heart pumps blood, creating a recoil force that moves your entire body in a tiny rhythmic motion. Usually, this motion is chaotic, but when you calm the breath and still the mind, the rhythm of your heart begins to synchronize with the natural resonant frequency of your skeleton and your skull. Bentov called this the physio-kundalini mechanism. Here is the technique to initiate this synchronization. Sit comfortably with your spine straight. This is crucial, as your spine is the antenna. Close your eyes and bring your attention to your breath. Do not force it, just watch it. As your breath slows, imagine a pendulum swinging inside your mind. Visualize it swinging wide, then slowly reducing its arc, shorter, slower, until it hangs perfectly still in the center. Now shift your focus to the silence between the breaths. There is a tiny pause after the exhale and before the inhale. That tiny pause is your micro 0 point. In that gap, your heart's electromagnetic field forms a standing wave that stimulates the ventricles of your brain. It literally creates an acoustic loop, turning your skull into a resonant chamber. In this state, you are no longer a biological entity. You are a tuned instrument. You are vibrating in sympathy with the frequency of the plenum. Hold that silence. Expand that gap. That is where the download happens. Ultimately, the secret Bentov left us is not about escaping reality. It is about remembering what reality is. We have spent our lives fearing the void, filling every silent moment with noise, terrified that if we stop doing, we will cease to be. But the truth is the exact opposite. You are not the noise. You are not the swinging pendulum. You are the stillness that allows the movement to exist. Remember the sugar cube. Remember that 99.9% of you is empty space. That space is not empty. It is God. It is Source. It is the conscious light that weaves the fabric of the universe. When you dare to stop, when you dare to embrace the silence, you are not disappearing. You are returning home. The Matrix wants you fast, loud, and solid. The universe wants you still, silent, and infinite. The choice of which frequency you tune into has always been yours. The pendulum is swinging, the shutter is blinking, but the observer is eternal. It is time to stop watching the movie and start being the projector. If this transmission resonated with your frequency, verify your connection by liking this video. Share this archive with those who are ready to wake up. The journey continues in the next episode. Until then, find your still point.